Um, Concerning the research design I mentioned before, there is also different possibilities. In most cases, research is done on an ongoing basis or kind of ex post research. So after the festival, after the special exhibition, after a certain event, whatever, the research is done. But also you can do this research ex ante before you do an event, before you plan a special exhibition, before you plan your next festival. This is the so-called conception research or design research, which is upfront, which means this is a little bit small, maybe this is better now. Not so easy. Okay, no. Anyway, so this is here what we call ongoing research or formative research, which means before you do your event, try to find out what is the possible interest of the target groups, what are needs and interests of the possible target group, what are the expectations, and also there's a kind of so-called formative research. During the event, you can also do research. During the special exhibition, during the festival, you can also do formative research, which means here try to make corrections if possible very quickly. So maybe there you can anticipate that visitors have problems in some way. You can research this and you can make small and quick corrections. But in most cases, institutions do an ex post research and a summative research. Another point is then who is doing the study. There are two or three possibilities. One is you do it all internally. The other one is you do everything from outside. And the third is you make a kind of mixture. Internal evaluation is good because the costs are very low. There is expertise from the people working in the institution, and it's easier to adopt or to integrate the results of the study into the work. Disadvantages are very often lack of method knowledge, lack of time, because staff usually is occupied with a number of other tasks during their ordinary job, and then making just another task like conducting a study is not easy. Usually you need a lot of time spare to do this. And also maybe some kind of operational blindness. Maybe you do not see things that people from outside may see better. So on the other hand, external evaluation is possible. Advantages are knowledge and competence in methods is there. Very often also people, the external researchers, have the possibility to make evaluations to say, well, compared, for instance, to other studies in a similar area, this value is so and so, is good or bad or moderate or whatever. If you do not have comparisons, it's more difficult to do this. Also, influence and credibility of the evaluation may be sometimes higher when it comes from outside. Yeah, this is just because people from outside are viewed to be more neutral, whatever. But there are also big disadvantages. Costs are higher, of course, and the reactions of the institutions when they are confronted with results that are not so good, maybe critical to some extent. Yeah. But yeah, what I experience, what functions very good is a kind of labor division, which means the institution does a part of the work, and expertise that's brought in from outside is brought in at very, very crucial points of the research process. For instance, developing the questionnaire. People from the institutions clarify their problems, they clarify their research goals. They say, well, we want to get to know this and that. And then it's possible to come from outside, say, okay, if you want to know this, I can help you develop the questionnaire. Questionnaire is developed. Field work then may be done also by the institution itself. Often there are some people who have spare time, who have time left, or people are doing an internship or something like this can help conducting the field work. And then there comes the analysis of the results, and then the expertise comes again from outside and helps you doing the analysis. And maybe when this has been done once or twice, the third time the institution can do it all by themselves. So they have learned what is important, how to do this, and then after that they can conduct the process all by themselves. Okay. So, also, when doing research in the institution, it is always reasonable to look at other resources of information. For instance, have there been studies carried out previously in the institutions? Very often there is, but no one knows this because it's 10 years old. But it may be helpful though. One can use visitor and ticket statistics also. One can do analysis of website visits using Google Analytics and other tools. You can also use other sources, for instance, guest books. People make comments that may give you ideas where problems may be. What should be altered? Or also interviews with the front-end staff, with the staff who are always in contact with the people, with the visitors, because they are the ones who are first addressed with complaints and everything. So they are also a kind of resource of information. And also research by other institutions. There are numerous studies carried out by different organizations. For instance, by the Deutsche Bühnenverein, for theaters and orchestras, or on the for movies and film industry. The Filmförderanstalts are doing studies in Berlin, also in Düsseldorf. Also, there are museum statistics available from the Deutsche Museumsbund and from the what is the name? Institut für Museumsforschung in Berlin. They also have numerous studies. And they are also free to download, and there's easy access to it. You can also use it and read it. Also on the EU level, there are very often studies conducted on the EU as a total. So it may be rewarding to look for studies, other studies, because you learn from this, and they are in most cases free. Okay, then we arrive at step 4. Now, this is the point where we have to decide which kind of approach we want to have in our study. A very broad distinction is between quantitative and so-called qualitative studies. Quantitative studies are done in most cases. They are good for recording frequencies, numbers, making statistics, giving you figures, giving you a broad overview about what you want to know, visitor structure, and so forth. And what you find out there also should be representative. So you can rely on this and develop measures upon these insights. But also there are other possibilities, qualitative studies. Qualitative studies are, for instance, interviews that do not have a structure, everything is defined, but they are only guided interviews. You have, for instance, 10 questions, very open, and you talk to visitors about things you want to know. And it's a kind of free talk. And you record the answers of the visitors, and then you later may type it down. And for instance, if you do 30 minutes or 60 minutes an interview, you then have later maybe 5 or 10 pages. And you do this, of course, not with many visitors, with some, 5, 7, 8 men, maximum 10 people, maximum 10. And from this you also can learn a lot. Of course, this is not representative. 10 people are never representative. But you can understand how the visitor thinks, how people evaluate what they experience in your institution, and what ideas they develop. And also you can combine this later then with a quantitative approach. Very often in these qualitative interviews you have some hypothesis about what people like and do not like, what could be done better, what really annoys visitors. And you develop hypothesis about this, and later then you can put this into a standardized questionnaire, and then you ask 500 visitors and make a representative survey. This is done very often. And also the other way around. You first make a quantitative survey, and then you find results where you say, well, what does this mean? And how can I explain these figures? I do not understand this. And then you make qualitative interviews and ask people, find an explanation. One example. A large share of visitors says, well, tickets fee is too high. This is an answer that comes very often. Tickets fee too high. So then qualitative research then could be to talk to people and ask, why is it too high? Please be precise. Or when would it not be high anymore? What should we do to make the price acceptable for you? With the in the Berlin study, for instance, we did 7,500 interviews with museums visitors about the effect of the free admission. 80%, we did these interviews only at the free Sundays. And 80% of the visitors said, we asked him, why did you come today? And the answer by 80% was because admission is free. 80% said this. Okay. Then we asked the same people, what do you do with the money that you save because admission is free? What did the people say? Oh, well, I spend it in the restaurant, I spend it in the cafeteria, I go to the museum shop and get me a gift and whatever.